صل على نبيك دائما في هذه الدنيا.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, and welcome to MK Vibe. It's going to be a podcast for the people, by the people, you know. And Murabbi Saab, how are you doing, man?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great. How are you, Ajibay?
Alhamdulillah, I can't complain, you know. It's kind of like a random Thursday evening, but we're here, you know. We're going to vibe out and, you know, chat a little bit, and then, you know.
Alhamdulillah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we'll have a good time, man.
Inshallah.
So, Murabbi Saab, tell me something, man. You're originally from Canada?
Am I originally from Canada?
Yeah.
You know, every time somebody
Bring the
asks me
origins. Let's hear the origin story.
I think about this every time somebody asks me this. My dad used to be like, you know, when I go out into the society back in the day, right?
Yeah.
When he moved to Canada.
Yeah.
People would be, where are you from? Are you from Afghanistan?
Yeah.
'Cause he'd wear the topi, you
Yeah.
know, that brown topi, and he'd be like, I'm from heaven. So as a kid, I would laugh at like, what kind of answer is that? But it was really nice because people would start having a conversation, and then he would try to explain to them, you know, this is what Islam is. We're all like brothers and sisters. I think I'll challenge you.
Okay. All right.
Where was I born? What do you think?
Murabbi Saab, I'm gonna say you were born in Pakistan.
That's correct. I was born in Pakistan.
Okay.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
For you,
Go for it.
I want to say, you know, Germany is always an option for anyone that's been in the Western world.
I'm giving German vibes right now. Okay. Is it the trench coat, the Peaky Blinders? You're starting to think of Irish
some mix,
ancestry,
some
Scottish.
mix of the European and. I'll go with the USA.
Yeah.
USA.
Yep.
USA. Okay, we're one for one. One for one.
Yeah.
When do you think I was born?
I'm gonna say 94.
Ooh, that's
giving me
pretty
94 vibes.
That's pretty okay. 95.
It's only a year off, man. We're close.
So for you, I'd say 96.
Wow. First I was German, and now I was 6 years younger.
6 years?
Yeah,
Whoa.
I was born in 1990.
I did not see that
90s.
coming.
I'm a 90s baby.
I genuinely did not even you know, kind of
Uh-huh.
put you back that far back.
Makes me feel good. Alhamdulillah. So Murabbi Saab, tell me. I know coming from Canada to America is like, you know, when I was a kid, like every single year, my dad would drive us up to Canada, to Hamilton. That's where my Taibu lives. He still lives there. And like every year we would go up.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, when you go somewhere else, you kind of are like, oh, this place is better than my home. It's better than my home. And you want to stay there, you know, but like you're just kind of always like a visitor, you know what I'm saying? So like, how long have you been here, and what has like the lifestyle change been for you in terms of like interacting with like not only the Jama'at, but like just, you know, going and doing your everyday routine, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, in life out here. How's it been?
You know, Canada, I used to think that is really similar to USA. And most of the times Canadians think like, you know, all the US culture is kind of getting transported up there.
Yeah.
That's like one of the biggest things that US exports, right?
Yeah.
It's culture.
Yeah.
Like, more than anything else. So for Canada, I used to think it's you know, everything we're getting is from US, so we're pretty much the same thing. We got the same language. When I came to US, I felt like there was like a system shock.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You're kind of like entering into this big bubble.
Yeah.
And it's absorbing you.
Yeah.
Like you would, you know, I used to hear stories of like the melting pot. That's what the US is.
Yeah.
I'd be, yeah, that's fine. We have it here too. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But being in US, you just feel like everything else just gets tuned out.
Yeah.
You know, Canada no longer exists.
Yeah.
For people in US, they're like, yeah, you know, this is some igloos up there. Some polar
Yeah.
bears. What else is there?
Yeah. It is definitely a bubble, man. You just get
Yeah,
you just, it's like white noise. The rest of the world is white noise.
matter.
And
Doesn't
like,
matter.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
The news is all US.
Yeah.
Like everything has to do with USA here.
I would say like this area, especially like what they call the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, it just has like a different like speed. So I would say if you were like dropped somewhere like, you know, Nebraska or somewhere Midwest, like it would be a completely different vibe. And the essential, like I would say like, you know, a lot of guys that grew up in this area, like we went through a lot of different like Jama'at events, and when the Jama'at was smaller, and it wasn't just now alhamdulillah, like the Jama'at is so large and it's everything separated, but back then it was just one Jama'at and we would all come to Beit Rahman. And a lot of the friendships I made were like, there's guys I still know from like, showing up here. My mom would drive an hour, bring us here on Sunday, and we would have class. And like those guys, I don't forget.
Crazy things that I realized here, people would be like, I'm close to the mosque. I'm only 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
In like the GTA area, if you drive 40 minutes, you're past like 4 mosques. There's 15,000 MDs. Maybe around that number in all of GTA. In the 40 minutes to an hour driving distance. So when somebody's like, I'm an hour away and I'm close, I used to think maybe this is different, and that's not close. But that's the experience that you guys had here, right? And maybe still a lot of MDs do.
One of for the longest time, I just considered him like my good friend, but then like eventually I realized that I'm related to him. So, is Ashfaq Khan, he lives in Maryland as well.
Let's talk to him.
Yeah, let's give him a ring and then like get his perspective on like life in this area and like how the Jama'at has progressed and like if he shares the same like fond memories that I have, So let's give him a buzz and see what he's saying.
Let's do it.
Ashfaq bhai, assalamu alaikum, rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullah, barakatuhu. What is going on, fellas?
It's a vibe.
We're just chilling here.
It's a vibe, man. You grew up here just like I did. What's your perspective? How do you feel like, what the benefit has been of one, your parents like bringing you to the masjid early on, and then specifically like the historical perspective of Beit Rahman and how it brought all these surrounding Jama'ats together and allowed the fresh migrants here to be able to have like a home and like a collective unified front in the headquarters at that. Like, give me your perspective.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's kind of funny. America's like different from anywhere, but I would say like Beit Rahman, the DMV area, is different than any other Jama'at in America.
Oh yeah.
Me growing up, I was always around 15 to 20 minutes away from the masjid. Now I'm like 30 minutes away, and it's so strange to me now. Like I'm like, I'm 30 minutes away from the masjid. I'm a little far from what I grew up with. But I remember growing up, Beit Rahman was the hub. And that started when I was around 8 or 9. Before that, we would go to the DC, Masjid Fazl, and that was like an hour away. So we grew up, Masjid Fazl, we used to go to the basement to have our classes. And then later, once Beit Rahman was built, we started going to the masjid every day,
So what was that like, for you guys? Mm-hmm. Like, did you know each other growing up? Were you meeting at the masjid? So what was it like, being this American generation of Ahmadi Muslims, and different from your parents, your grandparents?
I mean, we were locked in from the beginning. Like, there's like childhood photos that my mom shows us that I'm like, it's like Ashfaq's there, his brother is there, some of their cousins are there, and we're in Niagara Falls. So I'm like, clearly, our family's like locked in, and then like at the time, like even like when I was growing up, I would see these photos, I'm like, that's Ashfaq, like okay, and then later finding out that he's my father and his mother are first cousins. And then I'm like, what?
Oh, I never knew.
It's definitely strange. You're like, I see this guy at the masjid all the time, and all of a sudden I see him at my house all the time, and all of a sudden we're taking a road trip together.
Yeah, that blurred it. Like that's why it didn't connect for me. I was just like, no, Ashfaq's at the masjid, like. That's a dude that's always so fast playing football, and like. So American football actually was like a really big. That also was like a connecting thing for us and a lot of guys in this area, and actually like in America in itself, like Jama'at wise, like a lot of guys didn't play sports, and so I would say we were some of the few who got into it, and by the grace of God, we had decent amount of physical ability to be successful in high school sports, and then a little bit of college,
I think and that seems like a way that a lot of the American guys back in the day, and even now, the young Khuddam, this is the way they connected with each other, once a year, twice a year.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time they're seeing each other.
Yep.
Right? Versus US, versus UK, Germany, Canada, other places where they're seeing each other a lot more.
Yeah.
The USA guys Khuddam are seeing each other a lot less, but only at these sports events and maybe Jalsa, Ijtima.
Yeah.
Right?
and now,
sports in America is like, it's in our blood.
Yeah.
Whether you're good at it or bad at it, you're going to attempt to try to play and try to fit in. That's how you actually fit in. Even in high school, I know Udgy played football in high school. I played football in high school. And it was really that fit in factor. And even at the masjid, right? Who's playing basketball? Who's playing football? And whoever's not, you're not like part of the crew.
Yeah. And the reality is, like, from a Tarbiyat standpoint, that, and I'm sure, Ashfaq, you can, like, resonate the same, like, feelings. It kept me away from a lot of nonsense. So it would be like, no, like, it was easier, the identity issue comes up, like, being a Muslim, being an Ahmadi Muslim in America. Like, now with social media, it's become even crazier. But at that time, where it was less and less, like, the sportsman, which is like a Pakistani term, I've heard that, my uncles would say, oh, sportsman, I get, but the sportsman in high school made it easier to get out of going to parties, because, like, I don't do that. Like, I'm just playing sports. And, like, maybe you didn't have the confidence to say, because I'm Muslim and these are my beliefs, but sports allowed you to, like, kind of use that as a buffer until you were ready to, or be confident enough with the knowledge to be able to say that this is why these are my beliefs.
It kept you disciplined. That was the whole thing, right? How Islam teaches you discipline, reading 5 daily prayers, going through these particular emotions in order to make sure that you're keeping it consistent, right? The same thing happened in sports, right? The consistency, the disciplines there, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Did you guys see any of your friends kind of drifting away into the whole, culture, and it can take you to far places? Like, what did you see that with your friends?
I mean, me personally, like, yeah. And you mean Jama'at friends, or you mean
Jama'at friends?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even outside friends. Like, I'm thinking of one of my earlier friends, and and there were a couple who kind of just drifted away. They were extremely close to Jama'at, and I looked up to some people who I grew up with, right? My same age or maybe a little bit older. And at some point, they had to make a decision about how much they want to get invested in the Jama'at. And we saw some people, continue to move in that direction, where they get the position, the Amla, from Khuddam, from the Atfal to Khuddam, to even Jama'at level positions. And then you have the other friends who kind of just drifted into the world, and they didn't want anything to do with the Jama'at. And that always started with not coming to the masjid.
I mean, yeah, I would say definitely plenty of guys. I would say, like Ashfaq was saying earlier about the Theat Camps, like, they would, like, the ones that they held at Bat Rahman when they first, like, had them, like, they were massive. Like, guys from all over the country, Texas, like, Midwest, wherever would be here, and we'd be here for like 2 weeks, like, and like, I mean, like, imagine now, because of COVID, like, we have a heightened sense of sicknesses, but, like, I remember, not back then, man. I remember I was, like, sick with the fever, and my mom, there was no cell phone. Like, you try to ask somebody to give a call and you couldn't. And laying there just like, but there was, like, you still were so excited to be there because sports, all the stuff was happening. And, like, through, like, whether or not you, like, really wanted to sit through the classes, you did because your boys, your friends were sitting through that. Yeah. But a lot of guys stuck to the Jama'at, and we still see them today, but some guys didn't. But the relationships that were created then, they still exist now. So guys who may not be close, they still, people will still pick up the phone from me. And I'm sure it's the same for Ashfaq.
I'll tell you how powerful those Theat camps were. The first one that I remember was 2005. And I was in Germany at that time, in high school, but I went to Germany. I came back and there were only 2 days left, or maybe 3 days left of that 2-week camp. And my cousins called me like, hey, you gotta come. You gotta come. I'm like, it's only 3 days. What do you want me to get out of a 3-day camp? Like, I don't know any guys who's there other than us. Once again, people are there from the whole country. And when I rolled over there, I mean, even within 3 days that I spent at that camp, those friends that I made, I mean, they're lifetime friends. Be it that they're far from the Jama'at or not.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fact, because I think a lot of guys end up getting going away because maybe somebody that they interacted with at the masjid, treated them, in a wrong way, right? So the reality is, like, by whoever's prayers and our parents' prayers, our forefathers, all that protected us when somebody would mistreat us, but then we still had the wherewithal we would at least lean on each other to just be like, look, forget about that person. Let's just keep going. Yeah. But some people, leaning on each other, that's a good point. Yeah, but others, they weren't able to do that. And then they kind of drifted away. And they do say, how do you still have the discipline to deal, or the patience to deal with people like that? Like, I could never do that. Like, nah, I couldn't deal with that. Like, no, not because now I'm too old for that. Like, I don't have time for that. Yeah. Like, well, what do you have time for then? Like, there's this world, like you said, this bubble in this country has swallowed us, that we're lost in, like, quote unquote, the matrix of life, and we're just like busy, busy.
I will say this. Look, we were always near the masjid, right? Be it when we were active and non-active. Because I'll say I wasn't always active, right? There was a part of my life that I wasn't active in the Jama'at, in the sense of having, helping out, even like paying chanda, I wasn't active. But I was still close to the masjid of knowing that I can go there. But, being in Beit Rahman, that's a totally different ballgame. I go to California or Ohio or Texas, Beit Rahman, we have that thing where something is always happening. So you can go in, you can plug yourself in and plug yourself out real quick, right? Yeah. But in different countries, or different states, they don't have as many activities as we do.
Yeah. When you look at the story of somebody who continues to be attached with the Jama'at, this thing comes up every time, wherever you are, that at some point in their life, they spent a lot of time at the mosque doing something, whether it was the camps or, when I think about it, we used to just go there and play, right? And you would have namaz time, you go read namaz, and you just continue to play. And sometimes you play for like 8-9 hours, right? The next day, you got to go to school, come back, and then start playing again. Yeah. But just staying at the masjid, sometimes an uncle would come, sometimes the other side would come. Can you do this? Can you pick up the chairs? Can you help out with cleaning? And just those little tasks, right? Subconsciously just build your memory in a way that, Jama'at service is good for me. Yeah. Like they attach positive feelings with Jama'at service and being connected with the elders that are there, right? Instead of having some sort of negative feeling.
Yeah. I mean,
you might have a negative feeling while it's happening, though. When they grow up, man, uncle's asking me to do this again, right? But then I agree with you, but if it's later down your life, you're like, you want to do it now, right? Maybe back in the day, it was like, I just want to play. But now it's like, yo, let me go help the guy clean the kitchen real quick, or pick up this chair, or do this stuff. Like, all that other things can come a little later.
Yeah, it kind of becomes part of your core memory.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you think about your identity at that age and what happened, where you want to go, right?
No, definitely. I think those core memories, the hardest task, or what seems to be the hardest task, is cleaning them ditch keys in Lunger, man. But that's core memory. You gonna get that's muscle memory. You gonna learn the ankles. You understand, how not to waste water. You get yelled at a few times down there in Punjabi. Then you're gonna find out. But alhamdulillah, Beit Rahman definitely has been a big blessing, I'd say. And I've been through and through Virginia my whole life, but here I am back at headquarters, so it's a vibe.
Just mentioning, I see these young Kadam doing it, and these stiffles doing it, right? And I'm laughing at them, right? And you can see the frustration in their eyes. You have no idea how much you're gonna enjoy this when you get older.
Yeah, because I would rather do that than some other tasks sometimes,
Oh yeah, 100.
So Ashfaq bhai, I'm gonna correct you one more time. It's Khudam.
Khodam. Is it my pronunciation? Look, I failed the fall classes already. Khodam.
Nee, Jazakallah, you're so kind, and I've done this so many times. Every time I speak to Ashfaq bhai, I try to correct. And this is sort of the one of the other aspects, that Urdu is such an integral part of the Jama'at, and the American Khuddam and the Atfal, they're separated from it because they have to make a choice at some point. Like, I wanna continue in this path, and Urdu just doesn't seem to benefit me in an instant way. And it's not like a conscious choice they're making, and it's not a fault of theirs, but being in USA kind of makes you lose that aspect. Right, because it's like, it's not really benefiting me. So what do I need it for?
No, I mean, I'll tell you this, like, just seeing the way your mannerisms are, like, I with my assessment could be like, oh yeah, he's from Canada. Like I could just say it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, yeah, he's from Canada. And so it's the same thing with the American kids. Like, like, all right, this kid's through and through American. Yeah. And yeah, it's like it's like a culture. I wouldn't call it a clash, but it's just like the difference in the culture. Like,
yeah, it's there.
Yeah,
it's not like a negative thing.
Yeah. But it exists. Yeah,
it's there, definitely.
I mean, and I don't think at least personally, I don't think I had a conscious time in my life where I was like, yeah, I don't need Urdu no more. I put it in the back burner. But like, it was like, trying to speak it. And then, I think like our elders, like, out of love and the endearing way would like laugh, like, oh, look how he's saying that. And then, but then that kind of was like a little trauma. I'm like, I'm not going to speak again for anyone. Yeah.
Ashfaq, you're serving as Naib Sadr this year, and you've had such extensive experience serving Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya. You've served as Muhtamim Tarbiyat. You kind of travel the whole country. The young Ahmadis that have grown up here and what their stories are. Do you have something to share with us in that aspect? Like, what have you seen? What have you heard?
Yeah, every state that I've traveled to, but Allah's grace, I've been able to travel and meet a lot of brothers, like a lot of brothers. In every state I go to, there's always a different story of someone who felt a little hurt at the masjid or felt a little bit lost. But one thing that everybody says the same, or if I had to put a particular topic, is their particular identity. Being American, you really have, I would say, 3 to 4 different identities. You have the one that you want, right? That sometimes doesn't fit the Ahmadiyyat way or your parents' way. Then you have what your parents want. You have the one that your friends want, and then you have the one that you show everybody. And we're always all torn between all that. I remember I met a young brother in the West Coast. And he was very, very honest with me, right? He was like, I come to the masjid and all I have to do is come help, right? Like that's all I come for. I come help. And then once I'm done, I leave. And I'm like, what about namaz? He's like, yeah, that's not something that I'm with. I just come here because I'm supposed to come help. And I'm like, well, who told you to come help? Right. And they're like, oh, my mom told me to come help. I'm like, all right. Sit back and start talking to them, right? I'm like, what's the difference between you coming and helping at any charitable foundation that's out there, right? Versus you coming to the masjid? Because there has to be a difference, right? One's a religious institution, the other one's a charitable foundation. And he's like, I don't have a difference. And I'm like, that's why, right? Because you haven't identified who you are or what you want. And you think that just coming to the masjid and listening to your parents, that's going to get you a ticket to somewhere, right? Be it heaven or an A+ with your parents or something like that. I talked to him a year later, and as he was continuing to find his identity, he realized what the difference between a blessing was. And that blessing comes from, come to the masjid and praying before you're giving charity and all that good stuff. So I would say like the biggest struggle us as American is that big identity piece. Right. We all falter to it. I myself falter to it. But as long as you understand who you are and what you are, and you have pride into who you are and what you are, then every door will open for you.
But this is a reality. You talked about identity, but the biggest like relationship in all that is been relationship with the Khilafat. So how has your relationship with Khilafat? Because showing your age, there's been you're up there, right? You're like
yeah. I'm up there. I still think I'm a young cat.
Yeah,
I just said cat. You know, even growing up, I'm like, man, Azur's always going to Canada. Like, can he come to America real quick? Like, can he make that? You know, and I remember Khalifa Rabi coming to America a few times, right? But I was such a kid. By the time I got to like my 15, 16, I'm like, Azur's never coming to America, right? Like, man, we are definitely the adopted child for sure. That concept after growing up and maturing a little bit that Azur's not in my back door was actually a lie, you know. Writing to Azur, having that interaction, you know, and him writing back is a whole different feeling, you know. And I don't know how to explain in words, but when you're writing to Azur and his letters are coming back, you're like, oh my God, Azur wrote to me. Let me open this letter, right? And it's like the best feeling in the world.
Especially,
but then,
I don't think there's a word for that though.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll help you guys one. It's not about getting that letter back from him. It's actually going to go see Azur, and he already knows you because you're writing to him.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a totally different feeling. Like, you know, it's just knowing that your Khalifa's right there, and every young dude who I know, who I met, and I tell them, remember the day you felt before you went to go see Azur, and remember the day you felt after from seeing Azur. And 100% of the time, all of them will say, I wish I went sooner. I wish I went sooner.
Yeah, it's a completely different vibe. But I appreciate you, Ashfaq. I know you're busy, man. You got a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's pretty late in the evening, so we'll let you go, man. We'll chop it up with you another time, man. Appreciate you.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Talk to you guys another. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
It's been a true pleasure chatting with you, Murabbi Saab, and you know we're gonna carry it on. And until next time, MKA Vibe, you know, podcast for the people, by the people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.